Africa. Welcome to Africa. Good morning. The news and current affairs show bringing you everything you need to know happening on the African continent and beyond. You are joined by Ashin Berry and Glenora Shipura. I feel like I should just say now.
Thank you.
Right.
I was complimenting you.
So thank you very much.
Yes, I said you look very good.
Okay, next you must say you look like you own several cattle.
Yes, that's the next
that's
compliment.
The next stage.
Getting into what you can expect in today's broadcast, Netanyahu, Al Jazeera ban frantic and disgraceful campaign, according to the Al Jazeera. African leaders in Senegal for Faye's inauguration, and Mali political parties request elections after junta shuns transition promise. We'll also be talking to Arrie Hougaard, who will be filling us in on the latest news in Mzansi.
Getting into our top stories, news channel Al Jazeera claims Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has launched a frantic and disgraceful campaign of accusations against the network, vowing to continue its bold coverage of the war. Netanyahu on Monday promised to act immediately to stop Al Jazeera's operations in the country after the Israeli parliament approved a law that grants senior ministers powers to shut down foreign news networks deemed a security risk. Al Jazeera harmed Israel's security, actively participated in the October 7 massacre and incited against IDF soldiers. I intend to act immediately in accordance with the new law to stop the channel's activity, Netanyahu wrote on X on Monday. The Qatar-based network rejected what it described as slanderous accusations and accused Netanyahu of incitement. Al Jazeera holds the Israeli Prime Minister responsible for the safety of its staff and network premises around the world following his incitement and this false accusation in a disgraceful manner.
Now, several African leaders have arrived in Senegal for the inauguration of President-elect Bassirou Diomaye Faye. Faye won last month's delayed election, securing 54% of the total votes ahead of his main challenger, ruling coalition candidate Amadou Ba. On Friday, the country's Constitutional Council confirmed him as the winner of the election. Now, security has been beefed up around the presidential palace ahead of the swearing-in. About 15 heads of states are expected to attend the event on Tuesday, including Nigerian President and Chair of the Heads of State of the West African Regional Bloc ECOWAS, Bola Tinubu. African Union Commission Chair Musa Faki and ECOWAS Commission President Omar Aliou Touray will also be present, local media reports. Now, the lead up to the election was marred by violent protests after President Macky Sall attempted to delay the vote. Faye himself was imprisoned and released just a few days before the election following an amnesty by the government. Many in Senegal see him as a symbol of hope, and expectations are high that he will bring about the desired change in the country.
And the inauguration did go ahead as planned. Truly powerful visuals stemming from Senegal as they enter a new age. Now, political parties in Mali have requested a time frame for presidential elections after the ruling junta failed to organize polls within a promised 24-month transition back to democracy. Mali has been under military rule since August 2020, the first of 8 coups in Western Central Africa over 4 years, including in its neighbors Burkina Faso and Niger. Regional blocs have been trying to negotiate transitions, but the interim governments are dragging their feet. Mali's current junta seized power in a second 2021 coup and later promised to take 24 months from March 2022 to restore civilian rule, with a start date of March 26, 2024 and elections in February. It passed a new electoral law in June 2022, but said in September last year that it would postpone February elections for technical reasons, sparking outrage among political groups.
A 12-year-old Ghanaian girl who was married to a 63-year-old traditional priest has been put under police protection. Videos and pictures of Saturday's customary wedding ceremony between the girl and the priest, Nomo Borketu Lawat Soru, the 33rd, had gone viral on social media, angering many Ghanaians. Now, several people opposed to the marriage called for action from the police and government agencies. However, community leaders defended the ceremony, saying that critics did not understand their customs and traditions. The Ghana Police Service said on Tuesday that it had identified and located the girl and that she and her mother were under police protection. The Ghana Police Service is working with the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection and the Department of Social Welfare to provide her with the necessary support while the matter is being investigated, the police added in their post, which was shared on social media. Now, according to the global campaigning NGO Girls Not Brides, child marriages remain prevalent in Ghana despite being outlawed, with 19% of girls getting married before they reach 18 and 5% being married before their 15th birthday.
Truly horrific. Now, Ethiopia will repatriate some 70,000 of its nationals living in Saudi Arabia starting early this month. State Minister Bertukan Ayano said the repatriation, the third such program since 2018, will target Ethiopians who are in a difficult situation. During the announcement last week, the minister didn't specify whether the returnees have been living in Saudi Arabia legally. Regional administrations are expected to ensure the returnees resettle in their native home areas. According to a government dispatch, repatriation expenses will include flight tickets, temporary holding and transition centers in Addis Ababa, and some money to restart life. Those have been our top stories on Africa. Good morning. We talk to Arrie Hougaard in South Africa shortly.
Hallo, Namibia. Ons is by die kus en ons is lig.
By the Easter shark.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so yes. Please, today you make sure that we are fed. Sorry, exactly.
All right, we start talking to Arrie Hougaard about election news. In election 2024 news, the National Prosecuting Authority charged Umkhonto weSizwe party leader Visvin Reddy related to allegations of inciting violence. Good morning, Arrie. Do get straight into it.
Yes, a very good morning, Ashwin and everyone. Yes, it is election news, and it's important news. It is a lot's happening over the MK party and Umkhonto weSizwe party today. There's also court actions now in the electoral court asking for, or the MK party is asking for former President Jacob Zuma to be allowed to take part in the election. He was officially told that he will not be able to take part in the election because of his criminal record. So Section 47 of the Constitution of South Africa states that if you have a criminal record or if you were sentenced for 12 months or more with jail without a fine, then you cannot take part or hold an office position. So that's been challenged by the MK party. But that is Visvin Reddy. So he's also a KwaZulu-Natal politician, closely linked to former President Zuma. So it was big allegations that he made, and it was publicly made. He said it is seditious remarks that he made. He said that there will be riots like never seen before, and there will be anarchy and close SA down, South Africa down. That was all if the MK party did not get their way related to former President Zuma. So that is very dangerous. Obviously, that's the pictures we just saw was from the unrest in July 2021 in South Africa. We will not forget that. And many of the supporters that's indicated to vote for the MK party for President Zuma was implicated to be the people involved in that riot. So let's see how that develops. But it is at the moment Visvin Reddy will be in front of the court today.
Now, Arrie, I understand that you have been reporting on the water challenges in South Africa. Now, Johannesburg residents might have water supply challenges for the next 3 years.
Yes, it's a new report that came out and that indicates the time frame up to June 2028. So the report indicates that there will be similar, that will be continuously challenges for people in that area in Johannesburg, and it will only be better in 2027 when the Lesotho Highlands Water Project, the phase 2, will kick into place. Now that's the Vaal River that we look at there. So now all of a sudden there's also a bigger demand for water. So water's been taken from the Vaal River that's previously not happened. And that is the Katse Dam in Lesotho. So that will be part of the Lesotho Highlands Water Project. And that will add a massive amount of water to the system for South Africa. It will be 780 million, 490 million cubic meters water that will be added to the system. Already there's 780 million cubic meters that is added to the system. But that's people having to get water from assistance. So obviously 2 reasons. It's a dilapidated or old infrastructure and also running out of water now. So it's a real challenge. But reports say hopefully it will be before 2027 that will be sorted out.
All right, Arrie, now currently load shedding remains suspended. Tell us more about that.
Yes, we had the Easter weekend with no load shedding. That was quite strange, and it was quite nice as well. But some reports say, and it might be a bit of sarcasm, but they said nothing broke down. So obviously that is a big help. The problem for South Africa is that it's aging coal plants mostly. That's where we want to be, more of the wind and solar power. At the moment, South Africa have 80% of all the generating of energy is through coal plants. And so there's enough coal. It will last us another 200 years. There's 53 billion tons of reserves coal left in South Africa, but coal plants only last 40, 50 years. That's one of the coal plants. The average in America will be 40 or 30 years. We're pushing it to 50, 60 years. So that is the aging of the coal plants is a challenge. So at the moment, it is not even 20% that's generated through solar and wind and nuclear in South Africa. So that needs to be pushed up. But at the moment, the biggest challenge is debt. New reports say that Eskom will make a loss for this financial year of 20 billion South African rand. It was estimated to be 23 billion, so it's slightly better, but still a big challenge.
Now getting into some sporting news. In women's sport, the national soccer team Banyana is to take on Nigeria for the place in this year's Olympic Games in France. And the women's cricket team is also playing a T20 series against Sri Lanka.
Yes, we, like in Namibia, we drew strength from our sporting teams. The Namibian cricket team also on their way to the T20 Men's World Cup as well. But hopefully that will be for the Bafana Bafana. That's a cricket first. That will be today, the third and the final T20 game against Sri Lanka. It's 1-1 at the moment. South African cricket doing well as well, women's cricket team. And then the women's team, hopefully they can do what they did in the women's AFCON. But they're playing a 2-legged game against Nigeria. It is for a spot in the Olympic Games. So that was winning the women's AFCON there. But it is the first one on Friday in Abuja, and then the second one on the 9th of April in Pretoria. That will be a deciding one for a spot in the Olympics. Imagine if they can play in the Olympics. That would be great news. So South Africa behind them, that Banyana can get to the Olympics.
Absolutely. Wishing them all the best. Thank you, Arrie, for bringing us the news stories from South Africa.
It's a big pleasure and a brilliant day for everyone. Bye-bye.
Let's take a look at our weather predictions before we return with your economic news.
Getting into economic news stories, the government of Angola will be saving 19 million litres of fuel per year with the inauguration of the Saurimo photovoltaic park, Lunda Sul, by the Ministry of Energy and Water. The project involves the installation of 44,850 solar panels. According to a press release, the use of clean electrical energy will also result in a reduction in emissions of more than 68,000 tons of CO2 per year. With an installed capacity of 26.13 megawatts, the park will generate green electricity to serve 171,565 inhabitants of the province of Lunda Sul. This measure is in line with the objectives of the Angolan government established in the Energia Angola 2025 plan, whose purpose is to diversify the country's energy matrix and provide electricity to around 60% of the rural population. With an investment of 38.8 million euros, the project involves the installation of 44,850 solar panels and will result in the production of more than 49,000 megawatts a year. Now, the document states that to transport this energy, a 15 kilovolt medium voltage line will be built that will connect the solar park to the sectioning station, which will be prepared for future connections to the Shikumina Nama sectioning stations and the interconnection of the Hydro Shikapa line.
In our next story, China has a unique opportunity to drive forward an energy revolution in Africa, but it must first reverse nearly 2 decades of neglect of green power investments. Research from Boston University showed on Tuesday Beijing has emerged as the continent's biggest bilateral trading partner since the start of the century and has financed billions of dollars worth of large-scale infrastructure projects. 3 years ago, China's President Xi Jinping said the country would not build new coal-fired power projects abroad, pledging to deal with climate change by supporting the development of green and low-carbon energy. Although Africa's green energy potential is one of the highest in the world, Chinese lending and investment has so far provided relatively little support for the continent's energy transition, according to a report from Boston's University Global Development Policy Center and the African Economic Research Consortium. Lending for renewables such as solar and wind from China's 2 main development finance institutions constituted just 2% of their $52 billion of energy loans from 2000 to 2022.
All right, those have been our economic news stories. Let's head over to the economic indicators just before Arrie returns with the sport.
Good day everyone, time for international sports news, starting off with tennis news first, and it's the clay season that will start for men and women. It's leading up to the Roland Garros tournament that will start later in May. Quite a few tournaments being played on clay. The first one on the men's tour is the US Men's Clay Championship that's played in Houston, and it is Ben Shelton from America that's going to be the number 1 seed in that tournament. Not the number 1 and 2 seeds in the world playing there this year. It's Yannick Sinner and Carlos Alcaraz not playing, but some of the results I can mention: JJ Wolf of the United States, he beat Alex Richard of Canada in the first round, and he beat him by 6-3, 2-6 and 6-4. That's the US Clay Championships in Houston. On the women's side of world tennis, it is also a clay court tournament. It's the Credit One Charleston Open, also in the United States, and it is also no number 1 Iga Swiatek or Aryna Sabalenka that's playing there. The defending champion from Miami, that is Danielle Collins, she's playing in the tournament, and she's also going to have tough opposition from the number 1 seed, that is Jessica Pegula of the United States, and then also Sloane Stephens, that's also in the tournament, one of the early favorites together with Maria Sakkari February. That is the Credit One Charleston Open being played in the USA. On to cricket news, and it is the T20 World Cup cricket tournament that will start on the 2nd of June. That will be played this year in the United States and the West Indies. The final will be played in the West Indies. And news from the England team at the moment is that the all-rounder Ben Stokes indicated that he will not play in the tournament. Ben Stokes struggling with a knee injury, and he had surgery quite a few months ago, and he didn't bowl also when England toured India quite recently in a test match series. It's England that is the defending champions, and they will play their first game in the tournament on the 4th of June. That will be against Scotland in Barbados. And it's also Namibia that will also play their first game also in Barbados at the Kennington Oval, and that game will be played on the 3rd of June, and that will be against Oman. And closing off today's international sports news, it is rugby news. It is the European Rugby Championships that continue this coming weekend with a round of 16 games. And it's a leading Irish team, that is Leinster, that's struggling with injuries. It is their scrum half, Luke McGrath, that's also one of the players that's injured. And he has a head injury with Robbie Henshaw, the same injury, and also Hugo Keenan, a hip injury, and Andrew Porter, a shoulder injury. That was after the Leinster team played against the Bulls. They beat the Bulls comprehensively 47-14. In a URC game over the weekend. It is the Leinster's team that will play against Leicester Tigers of England. That will be on Saturday this weekend. In South Africa, it will be the Stormers in Cape Town playing against La Rochelle, the defending champions. That's a French side. And then also the Bulls, they will play against Lyon, and that game will be played in Pretoria. That's international sports news for today. Hope you have a great sport day, and we talk international sport again tomorrow. Goodbye.
Neo Paints has established a 67-year Namibian legacy, creating personalized paint solutions that blend quality and innovation for the Namibian people. We pride ourselves in being a 100% Namibian-owned company, investing in our country and our people by employing and empowering true Namibians. With every brushstroke, Neo Paints commits to our quality guarantee and always delivering a coat of excellence. At Neo Paints, we always stay true to our country. We are as Namibian as you.
All right, thank you for staying with Africa Good Morning throughout the broadcast. Let's have a look at our highlights. Netanyahu's Al Jazeera banned frantic and disgraceful a campaign. This is according to Al Jazeera. African leaders in Senegal for Faye's inauguration, which happened yesterday. Government saves 19 million litres of fuel per year. That is Angola.
And with that, we've come to the end of the broadcast. Thank you for joining us on this beautiful Wednesday morning. From me, Glenora Shipura.
And me, Ashwin Berry Suraja Kanaka.